What is power? A lot of the time, when people think about power, they only think about it through the lens of controlling and dominating other people. However, true power goes beyond the surface. Power is about a person's ability to control their own emotions and also to control their own perception of their life, of their progress, and of their relationships. And as you begin to harness your own sense of power, you will realize that your ability to influence and lead other people is contingent upon your ability to lead and to govern yourself. So before you're able to exhibit any kind of outward power to other people, you first have to pinpoint what kind of power is operating within you for yourself. Hi readers, welcome back to the reading room. In today's video, we're going to be talking all about power. So for those of you guys who are wondering, what is power? Power, although it can be subjective for many people, it simply entails having some kind of control. A lot of people tie it to controlling resources, controlling opportunities, the ability to control an environment at large, maybe even control people. But in this video, I want to highlight utilizing your own sense of power. Essentially, everyone has a form of power, even if that looks like them having the ability to control their day-to-day life, their daily routine, or control the role that they play in their interpersonal relationships. In this video today, we're going to be getting into the nitty-gritty of different types of power, and more so how to utilize it to promote growth and to promote advancement. Getting into the nitty-gritty of promoting growth and advancement in one's own life, the concept of power is rooted in this theory known as internal locus of control. This theory talks about how a person's ability to see some kind of change in their life all starts with their personal belief system. Do you believe that you're able to change? Do you believe that you are able to change for the better? Do you believe you are worthy and you are capable of attracting healthy relationships and healthy opportunities? What this theory does is it highlights that any positive change that you are aiming for, it all starts with your belief, and then following your belief system is your actions. So what this theory does is it places an emphasis on reclaiming and sustaining autonomy, even in the event of life challenges and hardship. Utilizing this internal locus of control ideology also teaches you how to take negative experiences and turn it around to your benefit. Essentially, you're getting into the habit of taking every lesson that life throws your way and perceiving the blessing that lies within it. And this is why the internal piece is going to be very important for this video today. Because although you may not be able to control what happens outside of you, you can control what is happening inside of you, internally. So now that we made it clear power starts internally, let's get into the nitty-gritty of how our internal power exudes to the general public and to our immediate circles. Now, typically there are two main types of power that we exhibit, and I'm going to reference what is written in the publication in the Lion's Den Navigating Systems of Power. The two main forms of power that people typically exhibit to others include soft power and coercive power. So let's dive into some of the characteristics of coercive power first. A person who is exhibiting coercive power is typically more dominant. They're also feared by others, and they are extrinsically motivated. These are the types of individuals, according to the publication in the Lion's Den Navigating Systems of Power, who utilize reinforcement systems or punishment systems. If they are a person in a position of leadership or authority, they exert their power by rewarding those who follow their instructions and reprimanding those who do not, or who do not perform up to their liking. Contrarily, we have soft power. A person exhibiting soft power characteristics lead with their expertise. Individuals who utilize soft power let their skills and let their experience do the talking. And by default, they gain power by being influential. So people naturally gravitate to individuals with soft power because their expertise becomes magnetic. And also what stands out about a person who has soft power is they are intrinsically motivated. They do things and they align themselves with people who are in alignment with their overall purpose and with their intrinsic values. The purpose of differentiating coercive and soft power is mainly for style. So a person who may lean more so towards the introverted side, they may be in alignment with soft power. They prefer to lead with their skill and with their talent rather than utilizing persuasive strategies and methods. Contrarily, someone who leans more towards the extroverted end of the scale, they may prefer utilizing their communication and persuasive strategies to get their point across, or maybe even their interpersonal skills. So they prefer to be a little bit more hands-on when it comes to social interactions. So figuring out your power niche is very important because that is also going to highlight your strengths. And in order for you to become more powerful, yes, becoming aware of your shortcomings is a prerequisite, but a huge component of stepping into and harnessing your sense of power is leaning into your strengths. And that starts with knowing your lane, knowing your niche. Knowing your niche becomes a prerequisite because that is what's going to establish a strong foundation. And you're going to need a very strong foundation for the next aspect of this video today. The next aspect is highlighting the fact that choosing coercive power or choosing soft power isn't necessarily the goal here. We're figuring out what the niche is, but we're not necessarily pitting the two forms of power against one another. Some of you all may be asking why that's the case, because there will be instances in life where you will actually have to utilize coercive power and soft power interchangeably. So you may have a baseline. Your baseline may be coercive power because that's in alignment with your personality type. Your baseline may be soft power because that's more so in alignment with your personality type. But you may find yourself in, for example, a professional environment, an academic environment, maybe even a familial or a platonic environment where you may have to switch roles and step out of your comfort zone as need be. For example, say you are in a setting where you have to constantly reinforce and reinstate your boundaries. Although your comfort zone and your baseline is soft power, you may have to utilize more coercive strategies, coercive power methods to set those boundaries and keep those boundaries in place so that people understand the role that you play in that environment and they don't overstep and they don't become disrespectful. And your ability to gauge and utilize these different types of power is a form of counterbalancing. So if you acknowledge the fact that, okay, your baseline may be soft power, for example, your baseline may be coercive power, but if you're in an environment where that type of power is counterproductive to the goals that you are trying to meet, then you may have to shift your power gears. So essentially what we are aiming for is balance and avoiding unnecessary extremities. If you are someone naturally, you prefer to be a little bit more laid back and you prefer to lead by example, but you are surrounded by people who have a parasitic personality type, then it may be in your best interest to step out of your comfort zone and utilize more assertive strategies. Contrarily, say you are someone who your baseline is naturally coercive. You are used to being assertive. You are used to being dominant. You are used to enforcing some kind of reinforcement or even punishment system. But you are around a bunch of people who are pleasant to work with. Maybe they are a little bit more docile and sensitive. You may have to learn how to lead with soft power, showing them rather than constantly talking at them. Because if you berate them with harsh communication, they may shut down. So in these instances, it may be in your best interest to step back from the assertive and domineering tendency and lead more with the softer approach. So the purpose of differentiating the different types of power is identifying your strengths and leaning into them. But after you've identified your power niche and your strengths, it's just as important for you to learn the art of counterbalancing it, because you don't want to rely on it too much. As we've all heard the saying, too much of anything can become a detriment, right? Balance is the goal here. So utilizing those counterbalance strategies as well as regulation is needed in order to meet your goals and to overcome any kind of challenge. Lastly, you have to prepare for the pushback. And when you're faced with any kind of interpersonal pushback, set boundaries. Power all starts with you. The most effective leader first learned how to lead themselves and lead their own life with efficacy. So as mentioned earlier, true power is not about exerting dominance and control over others. Instead, there's an emphasis on your ability to control yourself, to control your habits, to control the narratives that you paint about yourself, about your life, and about your capabilities. So always remember that true power lies within. All right, readers, that's all that I have for this video. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in, and I look forward to speaking to you guys in the next one. Take care, babes.